The Pokémon series is a unique set of JRPGs in which there are effectively hundreds of playable party members with no dialogue, rather than just a few playable party members that do have dialogue, and probably tons of teenage angst. I mean, technically some of the Pokémon party members do have dialogue, but I don't think you're gonna learn much from Gao over here. Instead of regular recruitment, you basically just get to kidnap whatever creature you want from the wild and make it fight for you for the rest of the game. But there are a few Pokémon that you're able to get without resorting to kidnapping, and that's what we're going to do today. Today, I'm going to explore if it's possible to beat Pokémon Firered and Leafgreen without ever catching a single Pokémon. There are only 2 rules to this challenge. I can never throw an empty Pokéball, and I cannot trade with other players. NPCs though are fair game. Upon starting the game, my mom strongly urges me to get out and do something, but upon taking about 12 steps outside, an old man immediately drags me back indoors to pick out a Pokémon. My dad always warned me this would happen. Where is he anyway? Professor Oak is offering me, his favorite young lad in town, a choice of 3 Pokémon to protect me from oversized pigeons and rats. Probably a good idea if I'm being honest. I don't know if you've ever been bitten by a rat, but I have, and it's not a good time, and I'm in pain imagining what it would be like if the rat was the size of a football. The choices are Charmander, the lizard with his tail on fire, Bulbasaur, the underappreciated underdog, and Squirtle, who is completely irrelevant for this challenge. The most important part of the choice between Charmander, Bulbasaur, and not Squirtle,
they ask you how you are and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine,
is that I have to pick one with Cut, as we're going to need to be able to use this move in particular down the line. So I end up picking Bulbasaur and name it Dino Frog, since it will be an easier time starting out and I'll have to grind less. As for the name, he's a frog and a dinosaur. It's a great fit. Professor Oak's grandson challenges me to a duel, and since he duels me a lot in this game, I decided to appropriately call him Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Picked Charmander, and we make our animals fight in animations that were dated back in 2004. I hope this looks better 20 years later. Oh, what the hell? Actually, Legensia looks pretty cool so far. Hope this comment doesn't age like milk. I win and get some free money out of the deal. If you lose this fight, you don't lose any of your starting money, but you still lose the free money, and for a while, money actually will be limited. But in this run, it doesn't really matter, since we won't be buying much anyway. Now, as if this is World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV, or whatever MMO you have in mind, we get our first quest. It's to deliver Oak's suspicious package. What could be in it? Balls. I don't really want to know about Professor Oak's balls, so when he gives me some, I just drop them on the floor and leave. In Viridian City, there's a fight of Yu-Gi-Oh! To the left here that I could do, but it's honestly not a good time, and he'll kick my ass unless I overlevel, so I just don't. In Viridian Forest, I was told there would be Pikachus here, but I didn't actually find any. Dino Frog learns Vine Whip at level 10, which in this generation is still considered a special type move. I beat every single trainer in Viridian Forest, leaving with a level 13 Bulbasaur. Pewter City. In the anime, this is where Ash finds Brock, who then follows him around for the next 10 years of his perpetual 10-year-old life. This means that he's probably a formidable trainer, and his gym battle will be an epic struggle for I already won. I didn't even really pay any attention, that just kind of happened. I get the Boulder Badge for my efforts, which increases all Pokemon's attack in battle by 10%. This is a stat I'm not getting too much use out of in gym battles where it would actually count. Dang. Playing like my 7-year-old self, over-leveling my starter Pokemon exclusively, I rampage through Route 3, beating every trainer on the way. Dino Frog evolves into Ivysaur after fighting the first trainer, making it even more blatantly overpowered than it was before. Eventually, I get to the Magikarp salesman at the end of the route, who will sell me a new pet for $500. Just like in real life, kidnapping wildlife is generally frowned upon, but purchasing another living creature as a pet is a-okay, don't ask me why. So, I get my second Pokemon, a Magikarp. She's not worth much now, but I'm sure picking her up will make sense in the future. For now though, I name her Subscribe, as a reminder of what you can do if you're enjoying this video. I'm not used to shilling like this. Going through Mount Moon, I still go with my strategy of only one Pokemon gets to play. It's not that I don't want to level Magikarp, it's that putting the experience on Magikarp is just going to be directly detrimental for a long time, since it's really not going to be getting me anything until I can reliably hit level 20, which won't be happening until around the 2nd or 3rd gym. Dino Frog and I fight through a bunch of rocket grunts until we get to this nerd, who is so convinced I'm going to take one of the fossils that he thinks Dino Frog beating a sorry behind means we should share instead. I'm not particularly interested, but I'll take the Helix fossil. Something from 2014 seems to compel me to do so. Anyway, Cerulean City. There's another gym here, this time led by Misty. In the anime, Misty is a girl who follows Ash around because he owes her a bike. And that's a perfectly valid reason to follow someone around the country and abroad. With so much worldly experience, Misty has to be a powerful trainer who uses some seriously high offense. Why does this keep happening? I blink and the gym battle is over. I get the Cascade badge and the Water Pulse TM, which I probably won't be using. Neat. Does anyone hear that music? I think that's him. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is right there. The king of games. He lives up to his namesake by being an absolute BS fight at this point of the game. Not only is his Pidgeotto illegal, being one level below when Pidgey is supposed to evolve, it's also prone to using Sand Attack. Normally, this early in the game, you only have two options that can go super effective against flying, those being Rock and Electric. But Pokemon Red and Blue do this thing where they completely take away your option to go get those types with a point of no return. Plus, the inflated levels in Cerulean City when compared to most of what you've faced before makes this either a point of senseless grinding or bashing your head against the wall until you no longer get RNG screwed by Sand Attack. I personally do not like grinding, so I chose the latter. I opened the battle with Leech Seed, and lucky for me, Pidgeotto opens with Gust instead of Sand Attack. But he also crits me into pieces, leaving me at a lower health than I would want to be at. I take him down in 2 hits of Razor Leaf with no incoming Sand Attacks. I get extremely lucky with a critical hit on the following Charmander, while the Ember does not burn me, so I can take him down in just 2 tackles. Abra is a freebie. I use Leech Seed and simply growl at it for the entirety of its health bar to restore my own HP and get ready for the final battle against his Rattata, who gets knocked out in 1 hit. No crit, just good old being completely overleveled. Starting with Bulbasaur is definitely punished here, but I did get to annihilate the first few gyms, so definitely worth it. Continuing the journey, I rampage my way across Nugget Bridge and the final guy is actually a recruiter for Team Rocket. You know, those guys who train rats. Steamroll him with Dino Frog just like everyone else. Honestly, the fact that I can't catch anything is making it really hard to say anything about the game being played right now. But hey, Dino Frog is already level 27, so once I can get a second Pokemon not named Subscribe, I'll have plenty of opportunity to level it. God knows this inflated Ivysaur doesn't need to hoard even more experience to itself. He asked me if I want to join Team Rocket, but I tell him I'm not allowed to catch rats, so I'm also probably not allowed to join. I fight literally everyone on the way to Bill's place to talk to Bill, who is currently stuck merged with a Pokemon, which I can only assume is a completely painless and normal experience in this world. He enters the teleporter and I really don't want to be an accomplice in whatever is happening, so I just take his boat tickets so I can get as far away from him as I physically can. I am not going to accidentally risk killing a guy and going to jail for him. Speaking of going to jail, I also get this guy's Dig TM and don't bother returning it. I'm already stealing things anyway, might as well keep that up. I put Subscribe in the Pokemon daycare for now so that she can passively accumulate levels while I focus on Pokemon that can actually, you know, fight. So, Dino Frog, and nobody else. I've made it to Vermilion City. Did anyone else have that one Pokemon town or city they just always came back to for seemingly no reason? Vermilion City is that place for me. I don't even know why. There's absolutely nothing to do here, except watch this Machop do his thing. Honestly, it can be kind of relaxing watching him do his thing. I pick up the bike voucher from the Pokemon fan club chairman, then continue my escape from Bill. There's that boat I was gonna get on, so off we go. Time to leave the Kanto region. While beating the trainers here, Dino Frog evolves yet again to Venusaur, just in time for my fight with Yu-Gi-Oh! On the boat, which, you know, is still safer than Unova's Battle Subway. And although Dino Frog has to solo the battle against Yu-Gi-Oh! For the 3rd time in a row now, things go way better than expected this time. Probably because he's so overleveled, I don't think this game was made with having your final evolution at this point of the game in mind. Even though Pidgeotto and Charmeleon absolutely abuse accuracy lowering moves, Dino Frog pulls through and clears every RNG check with no problem, leaving the fight fully healthy. The captain of the boat witnesses this battle and teaches me how to cut things in self-defense. Turns out you can just make Pokemon do it for you. I'd like to see Yu-Gi-Oh! Fight me now that I know how to cut things. Actually, let me chase after him. Come back here, you little... The boat left without me. Oops. So, fun fact, you don't really need to do Lieutenant Surge's gym at this point in the game. So, I'm not going to. I don't like dealing with the steel types when all I have is a grass type. I was going to get the Flash HM, but then I remembered I'd need at least 10 Pokemon in my decks for that. Right now I have, let's see here, carry the 2, right, 4. So we're just 6 short. So instead I get the bike at Cerulean City, then head off eastward. Beat up all the trainers with my amazing team that I've cultivated over the course of the last 2.5 gyms. It's just Dinofrog. I really need to get some more Pokemon. It can't just be Dinofrog murdering everything in broad daylight the entire game. Speaking of broad daylight, I make it to Rock Tunnel. I can't see anything! Whew, that sure was a long and amazing adventure. Did you guys see that? No? Neither did I, because my screen was dark the entire time. Dinofrog is level 40 now. Welcome to Lavender Town, a place so scary that I'm just walking away from it immediately. Dinofrog really doesn't need more experience, so I try to avoid as many trainers as I can on my way to Celadon City. That way I'll be able to fight them later when I get my second Pokemon. Celadon City! After all this time, I finally pick up a new party member. Eevee! Not sure why I can just take this. This might be stealing. Oh well. I take a little bit of time to weigh the pros and cons of each option. Vaporeon and Jolteon are easily the better picks in a vacuum, having a better stat spread and better potential moveset, but I actually go with Flareon, because having an on-level fire type immediately as I hop into the grass gym, that just can't be beat. Plus, Jolteon would mostly take care of flying types, of which there's practically no threat in this game aside from Yu-Gi-Oh's Pidgeot. His fire starter will continue to be an issue for a bit longer, but it's nothing we won't be able to handle over time. I named him Pizza. I think I was hungry. I get a cup of tea from the old lady in the building I stole the Eevee from, which I somehow share with like 4 guards. What, do they each only take 1 sip? Were they that thirsty? Well anyway, there's actually a little bit more to do in the city, so let's have a look at the game corner. Remember when we used to be allowed to do pretend gambling in these games? All I ever learned from that is that my luck is awful and I always lose. However, the Celadon game corner also doubles as a pet shop that deals in rare Pokemon. So let's have a look at the available options and break them down. Number 1, Abra. This Abra starts at level 7, so it only knows Teleport. It's like getting a second Magikarp. Speaking of which, I should probably pick up Subscribe from daycare one of these days. If I were to get Abra, I would not be able to max it out since it requires a trade. Also, Kadabra basically has 1 move, Psychic, since Shadow Ball is still considered a physical move in this generation. Whoops. Abra can also be traded for a Mr. Mime, which is similarly a pretty good Pokemon, and it levels quickly, so it's not a bad one to consider at all. Mr. Mime is well known in the community for having screen setups, which is a pretty amazing ability as Reflect and Light Screen multiply defense and special defense by 1.5 times respectively. It's got a pretty good stat spread and even learns Magical Leaf for coverage. Had I started with Charmander, I might have grabbed Mr. Mime for early rock ground coverage. As it is now though, it's not really necessary. Number 2, Clefairy. Although fairy types didn't exist yet, Clefable can use Return, and its respectable stats give it access to both physical and special attacks in the TM's Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Iron Tail, Thunderbolt, Psychic, Brick, and Flamethrower. It even has some respectable non-offensive abilities. It can tank decently well, has a self-heal and Moonlight, and can play the gambling game with Metronome. If given enough time to set up, it can become an absolute monster tank with Cosmic Power, or a special cannon with Calm Mind. So if given the investment, Clefairy can absolutely be a force to be reckoned with, or at least a strong cornerstone of any team, provided you're willing to invest a ton of time and effort into doing so. Number 3, fun fact, this one is either Scyther or Pinsir depending on if you're playing Firered or Leafgreen. Also fun fact, X-Scissor didn't exist yet, so bug types are usually pretty bad, no matter how great their designs are. That being said, if you're willing to put in the time, Scyther can be a pretty good Pokemon all things considered. With an absurdly high base attack at 110, and pretty good defenses at 80, and access to Sword Stance and the TM Aerial Ace, Scyther will likely make quick work of any grass types that stand in its way. Not to mention, its leveling curve is fast, meaning it will easily reach its potential. Pinsir, on the other hand, is not awarded the same treatment. While it does have even more attack than Scyther, it trades some speed and HP away for this. And where Scyther has access to the same type attack bonus and Aerial Ace and coverage and Steel Wing, Pinsir's main claim to fame are Rock Slide, which primarily targets a type it's weak to, and Fighting type moves, which he receives direct competition from in the Fighting type Hitmonlee. On top of that, unlike Scyther, Pinsir's EXP curve is slow, meaning it will take much longer for Pinsir to hit its potential. And while he does get access to Sword Stance just like Scyther, he does so 13 levels later at level 49, as opposed to level 36. That's near the end of the game, and before then, he's basically just a bug to babysit. Number 4. Dratini has a slow leveling curve and won't reach its final evolution until the end of the game. I love Dragonite, but Dragonair itself won't add anything to the team until it evolves. Dragon type is a good defensive type, and you can keep Dragonair's move pool on life support with copious amounts of TMs, but unless you really want to finish the game with a Dragonite, I wouldn't bother. Costing either 9,999 or 6,500 coins, Porygon is a purchase not to be made lightly. But for that price, surely you'll get something good out of it, right? Right? Porygon is absolutely a one-trick pony, or Code Duck, I guess. It uses Sharpen to get its attack further up, Recover to heal, Tri-Attack for same type attack bonus, and leaves one slot open for either Aerial Ace or Shadow Ball. It levels decently fast with a medium fast level curve, but if you're going for a normal type like this, please only pick Porygon if you decide you want 2 normal types and don't want to double up on fairies. After all that, I end up not buying a single one of these, but I do gamble a bit for the Flamethrower TM for Flareon. After that, I make my way to the Grass Gym, which is full of women. I mean, strong trainers. Erica's battle is especially rough, as she doesn't just use grass attacks, but also poison. Can you let me finish one sentence? Next, I make a pretty good attempt at dismantling the criminal organization hosted in the basement of the game corner. Whee! Our first encounter with the crime lord holding the Kanto region in his hands. Giovanni, who some theorize to actually be Ash's dad. Never fully understood that. This is like, what, the 4th major boss fight in the game? Technically the 5th, but I kinda just ignored Lieutenant Surge. I hope he doesn't feel bad about it. Giovanni leaves me the Silph Scope, which I can use in the Pokémon Tower to find out that the ghosts in the tower were, in fact, ghosts! This doesn't really seem all that helpful, actually. But before we get to climb the Tower of Graves, I pass by the Saffron City Fighting Dojo, which mostly gets roasted by pizza. The master of the dojo almost poses a challenge, with Hitmonlee's high jump kick nearly taking out Pizza in one go, and in retaliation, I take him down with a Hyper Beam. The Hitmonchan, on the other hand, poses no real threat for a very specific reason. Even though he takes out Pizza, he will exclusively try and hit Dino Frog with moves that hit his weakness. But these moves work off his special stats, and as such are extremely weak, so they deal like no damage. After I win, I'm offered a choice between Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. Hitmonlee hits harder and faster, where the Hitmonchan is a little bit more balanced and has a much wider move pool. However, most of those moves don't matter, because this is Gen 3 and they would be working off his abysmal special attack like the Master just showcased. So I go for Hitmonlee. Name him Hitmonchan to confuse my enemies. You hear that music, right? That's right. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! He's here to battle us in what would normally be a pretty challenging battle if we had actually fought him when we first entered Lavender Town. But with 2 Pokemon that are either level 40 or close to it, his squad of Pokemon around level 25 really don't pose that much of a problem. Even so, he actually gets way further than he has any right to, taking both Dino Frog and Pizza down to decently low health, which is more than I could have expected. After beating Yu-Gi-Oh! I climb the tower and the boss fight here is a ghost Marowak, a ground type. I save Mr. Fuji and he awards me with the Poke Flute. I can use this to wake up Snorlaxes in my path. This is where the game opens up massively, and I'm able to go to either Fuchsia City, the Silph Corporation building, or I can finally go to take care of Lieutenant Surge's gym. I decide to go to Fuchsia City first to pick up the 2 HMs there, though I do decide to leave the gym for later. In the Safari Zone, I just throw rocks at everything I see and don't catch anything. HM Surf, HM Strength. Then I go to Saffron City to fight Team Rocket. Most floors are, well, they're all kind of easy. Systematically dismantle every single floor in the Silph Corporation building, and leveling Pizza to, what the heck, level 50? I thought I said I didn't like grinding, what happened here? Nearing the top of the building, it happens again. I hear Yu-Gi-Oh's theme music playing, so I prepare by putting Pizza in front. First Pokemon, Pidgeot. I immediately Hyper Beam it. I am not dealing with that bird today, I'm so tired of it. Unfortunately, Yu-Gi-Oh responds with Gyarados, so after my recovery turn I switch to Dino Frog and use a combination of Leech Seed and Razor Leaf to take him down. Dragon Rage is a menace to me, as it can take down a pretty decent chunk with a guaranteed 40 damage every time, lowering Dino Frog's health down to half. The third Pokemon is Execute, and I decide to switch to Pizza to take it down swiftly, but not before unfortunately taking a Stun Spore and Confusion to the face. The fourth Pokemon is Alakazam. I can't believe this man found someone to trade with. Alakazam would have been instantly downed, but a Calm Mind makes Bite not instantly KO him. He then starts spamming Future Sight for some reason, giving me a clean KO anyway. Finally, the Charizard. Time to show him who the real overpowered fire type is as I Hyper Beam it with Pizza, who is 10 levels higher. Although my levels are overpoweringly high, this was still pretty rough, but I pick up my prize. A level 25 Lapras, which I will name Nice Boat. Immediately teach it Surf and Psychic, set it to team lead, and continue on to the second battle against Giovanni. Giovanni is like weirdly weak by comparison. Battle starts out with Lapras fighting Nidorino, which I confuse with a Confuse Ray to hopefully prevent it from destroying Nice Boat, who is 12 levels behind at this point. This works for one turn, but my luck turns around immediately and I get poisoned by a Poison Sting after the Nidorino breaks free from confusion, crippling the Lapras for the rest of the battle. Second Pokemon, Rhyhorn, instantly feigns from a Surf. Levels are no match for a quad weakness. Third Pokemon, his ace Nidoqueen. A Body Slam nearly takes out Lapras, and unfortunately, Poison will finish the job, but not before dealing at least some damage with Surf. I send out my second Pokemon, Dinofrog, who gets a Leech Seed off immediately, practically preventing it from losing altogether. Unfortunately, it's paralyzed by a Body Slam before Nidoqueen falls. Fourth Pokemon, Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan absolutely wrecks a lot of my health with Fake Out and Mega Punch early on. Though Dinofrog manages to power run through, in part thanks to a lucky and honestly kind of weird usage of Tail Whip, when Dinofrog basically has no health left. A moderately difficult fight, but nowhere near the level of Yu-Gi-Oh! Earlier. After I finish dismantling Team Rocket's plans using nothing but gifted and stolen Pokemon, I'm gifted the prototype one-of-a-kind Master Ball that could catch any Pokemon without fail. It's too strong to be left in mortal hands. So I destroy it. I head to Fuchsia City again, this time through the cycling road to fight Koga. I pick up the HM for Fly on the way there, but there's nobody on my team who can actually use it. Having gained a significant amount of levels from the cycling road, Boat effectively dismantles Koga's entire gym, and I come face to face with the man himself, who is supposed to be the 5th gym leader. The Poison Gym Leader. He's not nearly as strong as either Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Giovanni we faced before. His first Pokemon, level 37, which is actually what Boat seems to match now, instantly taken out with Psychic. Second Pokemon, Muck. I laid out with Perish Song while Muck continues to spend its time spamming Minimize. I decide to swap out Boat at Perish Count 2 to Hitmonlee, who immediately gets taken out by Muck's Sludge. Muck is forced to switch out, and I immediately destroy the next Coughing with Psychic. Muck is back and immediately uses Minimize again, so Perish Song again to force that thing to switch out eventually. This is when Lapras gets hit with Toxic and we both need to switch out. I decide on Pizza, Koga decides on Weezing, his level 43 ace, instantly killed by Flamethrower. At this point, I've already won, and I just take down Muck with Bite and Flamethrower. An easy battle, all things considered. Now that Koga is defeated, I've unlocked the ability to use Surf outside of battle, which means I can now travel to Cinnabar Island. Which is exactly what I decide to do, since Sabrina is usually a very rough battle. And after all, Boat isn't such a good streak, it would be a shame to stop that. Since I want to stop by Pewter City on the way though, I have to go through Vermilion City's Diglett Cave. I'm sure this would be a good time to go beat Lieutenant Surge. At Vermilion City, I take a quick trip back to Cerulean City to go back to Route 9. Now that I have access to Surf, I'm now able to surf across the water over to the power plant. I'm going here to grab a very specific item, the TM for Thunder. And while I'm here, I find this super strong one-of-a-kind Pokemon called Zapdos. It's worth 1,542 experience points, pretty neat! Through Diglett Cave, I make it back to Pewter City. In the back of the museum, I'm gifted the Old Amber, then travel all the way down to Pallet Town, get on my nice boat, and make it to the island that will basically cease to exist in 2 years. The gym is locked for some reason, and the key is in Pokemon Mansion, an area dedicated to lore dumping about Mew and Mewtwo. I love this since it's basically just hinting at things you've yet to explore, like what do you mean there's basically a super Pokemon somewhere for you to find? Anyway, aside from lore, this area is pretty uneventful. I find the key and make my way into Cinnabar Gym, and after destroying every single trainer Blaine set up for me, I'm prepared for another epic battle. He's already down, guess we're doing this again. Upon leaving the gym, oh no, it's Bill. He found me. He invites me to a cluster of islands, but I'm pretty sure he's trying to take revenge for the stolen boat tickets. Kindly decline, run to the lab. I have the scientists here revive the DNA of a Pokemon in the Old Amber. Aerodactyl! It's level 5, so there's absolutely no way I'm using it for battles at this point. I name it Airplane because it's going to be used exclusively to fly me places. With no other gyms to finish, I go back to Saffron City and get ready to fight the Psychic type gym. I have Pizza take point, and yeah, maybe I waited a little bit too long because I am at least a dozen levels too strong. Pizza instantly faints all of Sabrina's Pokemon, except for Alakazam thanks to a Calm Mind, then missing my Hyper Beam, which I really should have let out with against the Alakazam. With all 7 gym badges in hand up till this point, I make it to Viridian City Gym. Oh, this is awkward. Hey Serge, sorry I skipped you the entire game. You've been training as well, right? Right? Serge's ace is a level 24 Raichu. I am 30 levels ahead. Finally, I make it to the Viridian City Gym. For real this time, a ground-type gym led by Giovanni, who is actually a little easier to beat this time since he got rid of Kangaskhan and added a significantly overleveled Rhyhorn. I don't think Giovanni knows Rhyhorn is supposed to evolve at level 42. Also, it feels extremely weird to know that I could have destroyed this man ages ago, since Lapras instantly deletes every single one of his Pokemon, only taking damage from Dugtrio thanks to its incredible speed. Yu-Gi-Oh shows up. I didn't notice him because he muted his music this time. The sneaky bastard. This time, however, he's a much smaller issue, since we have the Lapras he was gatekeeping before. Niceboat has Ice Beam, so it can shred through his Pidgeot. His first Pokemon, as is tradition by this point. Super effective, faints immediately. Second Pokemon, Rhyhorn. Yeah. Third Pokemon, Execute. Yeah. Fourth Pokemon, Alakazam. This one won't go down without a fight, and disables my Surf. Fifth Pokemon, Gyarados. Guess who should have thought Niceboat Thunder before this fight. However, Gyarados actually helps me exclusively, using Rain Dance, which will weaken Desart and buff my Surf, and Hydro Pump, which actually straight up heals me. I then instantly faint his Charizard. What happened to you, man? What happened to the King of Games? Victory Road! This is basically a strength HM check. I got it, so yeah, there's not too much to say about it. Moving on. The Indigo League, consisting of the Elite Four, 4 back-to-back battles, and a champion. Since I won't be able to use the Pokemon Center in between these fights, I stock up on plenty of healing items and 20 revives. I may be a little underleveled now, but there's no turning back. Let's finish this run. The first member of the Elite Four is Lorelei, an Ice Master, although she doubles as a Water Master. She's a way better Misty than, well, Misty, since she leads with Dewgong. I decide that my lead for this fight should be Lapras, but this time with the Thunder TM learned. Dewgong starts out with a Hail, which doesn't affect Lapras and gets paralyzed by Thunder, allowing me to Thunder back to back, scoring a clean KO. Next is Cloyster, KO'd without any pushback. Third, Slowbro. As a defensive wall, Slowbro could become a problem, especially with Amnesia. I decide this is a fight best taken by Dino Frog, since even if Slowbro's special defense is raised to the max, Leech Seed will still deal set damage every turn, healing Dino Frog in the process. In the end, none of that matters since Razor Leaf crits through all the Amnesias anyway. Whoops. The fourth Pokemon, Lapras. For the first few turns I get absolutely RNG screwed in trying to get Thunder to hit. I miss it for 3 turns and get paralyzed by Body Slam. The one Thunder I hit manages to paralyze the opposing Lapras as well, meaning this is now a battle decided by coin flips, which I happily take the win on. The fifth and honestly weakest Pokemon of this bunch, Jinx. Jinx does take down Niceboat, but this allows me to safely switch in Pizza, winning the battle. I heal up after the first battle and swap out Razor Leaf for Giga Drain on Dino Frog and get ready to fight the second member of the Elite Four, Bruno. Bruno is a fighting master who basically just brought a bunch of rock types as well. I lead the battle with Dino Frog, and instead of going for the instant kill on his lead, I instead go for a strategy of powering up. Using Leech Seed, I give myself a good amount of turns to use Growth and power up. His Hitmonchan ends up stuck trying to counter constantly, allowing Dino Frog to power up to the maximum amount of 4 times strength, letting him instantly demolish all Bruno's remaining Pokemon. Or so I wanted to say, but Machamp's level advantage actually allows him to fight much longer. After Dino Frog goes down, I send out Niceboat to hit him with Psychic, which nearly takes him down. Then Niceboat gets instantly demolished with Cross Chop. At this point, I've already won, and I'm just deciding who gets the experience points. I decide to go for Airplane the Aerodactyl, just because I thought it would be kinda funny to have him gain a bunch of free levels. It was. The third member is Agatha, a ghost trainer who uses 3 ghosts but 5 poison types. Some of these classifications seem wrong. It's like if I said I'm a flying type trainer because I brought an Aerodactyl. For this battle, I lead with Pizza, who by this point is a level 57 Flareon. The first Gengar goes down in 2 bites, then Golbat confuses it and forces me to switch out. No matter, I'm sure Dino Frog can do something. Never mind. Nice boat time. One confused but has a Spirit Ice Beam later, Golbat is down. Third, Arbok. Still confused. Nice Boat hits itself once, but takes down Arbok in 2 hits after almost succumbing to a Sludge Bomb. The next Gengar is, of course, fast enough to take care of the severely weakened Lapras, but Pizza, through incredible luck dodging both Hypnosis attacks from Gengar, takes him down without a single point of damage taken. Finally, the Haunter, which annoyingly does manage to hit the Hypnosis, but wastes the 1 attack turn it gets with Mean Look. Repeat biting does the job. Lance, the Dragon Master. As he starts off with Gyarados, I basically have no choice but to start out with Lapras. Thunder takes it down in 1 go. For his second Pokemon, Aerodactyl, this is a dangerous matchup. I take down a good chunk of its health with Lapras, but the return damage on Ancient Power proves to be far too much, and I send in Dino Frog instead, who doesn't have any PP left on Giga Drain. Oops. He goes down without doing much of anything. Pizza is hit with Aerodactyl's Hyper Beam, but doesn't go down, allowing him to retaliate and taking down the Aerodactyl himself. With just the actual dragons left on the roster, I throw the Hyper Beam on my own and get taken out by Outrage. I end up having to gamble on Outrage length, but settle on going for 3 as that does sound like my luck. And this ends up correct, allowing me to Ice Beam the dragon down. Dragonair, another Ice Beam, another dragon down. And finally, Dragonair 2, another Ice Beam, another dragon down. Easily the most difficult fight so far, but none will compare to the champion who came right before me. Yu-Gi-Oh! I have no idea how the King of Games gained that many levels in such a short time frame, but Yu-Gi-Oh! And Power Creep are a well-recognized duo, so honestly, I'm not too surprised. After healing my team, the battle begins. Yu-Gi-Oh! Starts out with his Pidgeot again, which means I start out with Nice Boat. Even Yu-Gi-Oh's Pidgeot towers 3 levels above Nice Boat. Nice Boat gets Sand attacked but powers through and repeatedly hits with Ice Beam regardless, taking down the first mon all on its own. The second is Rhydon, instantly falls to a Surf. The third Pokemon, Executor, it sets up a light screen as I switch to Pizza, then tries to make Pizza sleep with Sleep Powder. Thankfully, these all miss as I do nothing but spam Sand Attack to make turns pass. Since I don't want Light Screen following me into the next Pokemon, with no damage taken, Pizza successfully makes it to Gyarados. Since Pizza is on the field, Gyarados is baited into using Hydro Pump, which I use to heal up both back to max. Thanks buddy. 2 Pokemon left. The first is Charizard, which tries to decimate Lapras with Fire Blast but misses. However, Surf is not enough to take Charizard down, so I switch to Pizza. First, I use Bite, which doesn't end up dealing nearly enough damage as I would have hoped, so I elect to put Pizza down as a sacrifice for the greater good and Hyper Beam the Charizard to victory. Now it comes to Nice Boat versus Alakazam. Psychic deals way more damage than I was ready for, but Ice Beam comes in clutch and actually freezes the Alakazam. I use Psychic first to ensure a full restore doesn't come out, and finally 1 more Ice Beam later, the battle is over. The dust settles. The theme music stops playing. I've won. Professor Okonami comes in and basically tells Yu-Gi-Oh! That he sucks, and if he had loved his Pokemon more, he wouldn't have lost. He then congratulates me for winning, though unfortunately in this version, he doesn't check my Pokédex data, so he doesn't get all disappointed with me and offer basic advice. With this, I've successfully beaten Pokemon without ever catching a single Pokemon. And of course, I couldn't catch any Pokemon, because my name is Digimon! Wait a second, I forgot! A very special thanks to AwesomeSwifter11 and everyone else for supporting me making these silly videos. For more information on how to support me or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thanks!